Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob and Donald. And listen, there's so much to break down with what's going on in Yankee land right now with the start of the second half, the trade deadline looming. But the one thing that I took away from the series with the Braves is that was probably the most frustrating series win that we've probably had this year. And I think it really led off. We have to go back to the beginning of how this series started with that stupid bullpen game. Now, doesn't baseball logic tell you if you're coming off of a break, most of your starters are probably rested enough? And it goes to something that aggravates the three of us to no end, and that's always planning for the next series, right? And it was one of those times where you could see why it made sense, but it was poorly executed because you do want to have your big dogs in the Toronto series. The division games, we've been terrible in our division, and you want to have your best arms available for that series because it's going to be that competitive. You know, and the Braves, as much as they're, a little out of it in the NL East, there's still a lot of season to be played to let teams catch up. We've seen it. It's happened to us. We let Toronto back in it. We let Boston back in it. The Rays aren't that far behind. They're playing very well. And we'll get into it in the next couple of shows. Are the Orioles seriously going to be sellers? And, is there anybody that we would want off of that team? But I think that when you're starting a series off of a break with a bullpen game, is anybody really taking you seriously? No. Why couldn't they have Warren, Stroman, and then in Game 3 use your bullpen arms? Because you're already putting yourself behind the eight ball when you're depleting your bullpen before your starters even get a chance to play. What if Warren got shelled in Game 2 where we needed the bullpen in the second, third inning? Now what do you do? You already cut your bullpen in half. So Boone really did not set this team up to succeed, yet they found the perseverance to do so anyway. It was an amazing comeback in Game 2. Guys, do you guys look at it the same way I do, or do you look at it through a different eye?
There's no excuse to go to a bullpen game first game out of the break.
No.
You could have called up Winans that day instead of Rico Garcia. Like, what are we doing here? You could have called up Carrasco for another game if you really wanted to. You could have done a number of things instead of going to Ian Hamilton, of all people, who's been terrible in high leverage and fine in low leverage. So it kind of tells you what pitcher he is. Why is he starting a game? And the Yankees were down like within the first few at batters that he faced. Like, it was like 2-0 immediately. So it was another brilliant move by the brilliant buffoon, and this is what we're stuck with as our manager. And I feel like they won in spite of him in this series because Game 2 was an absolute mess for the first 7 innings. It was just a mess. And thank God the offense came back. Trent Grisham, what a home run, what a comeback by the offense. But I can't help but be like, there's so many problems with the way this team's operated, and it starts with front office to the manager to the decisions. And Ian Hamilton, he had 4 days. He had 4 days off. You could have easily okay, let's call up Winans, however it's said, have him start Game 1 if you really wanted to make sure that Schlittler and Fried were okay for Toronto. Okay, that's fine. Rodon pitching the All-Star game. All right, have him ready for the Blue Jays. That's fine. And you still have Stroman and Warren for the Braves. Why are you going to a bullpen game? Yeah, that's why they got a DFA Stanton. It's all his fault. But yeah, it was weird. I didn't like it. I was like, really? This is what they're going with? They had 4 days and they came up with Ian Hamilton, and lo and behold, we're down by 2-3 runs in the very first inning. And then let's go to Rico Garcia. You used up all of your bullpen arms, and you could have had a bulk guy. Even if you got blown out in Game 1, Winans is a guy that you don't have to keep on the roster. So he could have given you 5 innings, saved your bullpen, even if you lost 7-0, and you sent him down the next day and got a fresh arm, and then you prepare for the rest of the way through. You kind of punting the very first game back, but At least you don't have to open up with the bullpen guy that's not very good and go to Rico Garcia. Like this is like it was the first game back. It was weird, and you saw what happened in game two. They almost lost that. They probably should have lost that if not for the offense. So yeah, like as happy as them they won the series, man, the fundamental issues on this team just show up day in and day out. Still not covering first base. Nope, Aaron Judge is throwing to a ghost apparently because there's nobody at second on a relay. It's like, dude, what else can they do that's going to make us tear whatever hair we have left out? And I don't know. We'll see. Maybe these two games woke them up a little bit, but my God, they could have lost this series very, very easily if not for, dare I say, Volpe and Trent Grisham's bats in game two.
Donald?
The Yankees managed that with a sniveling arrogance that they're like 5, 6 games, 7 games ahead in the division. That's how they managed that first game, as if they had tons of room to basically punt a game. I mean, you look at the way that they set up. Why didn't they just start with Brubaker? They threw Brubaker on when the game was basically over, and he was really good. Like he was able to give you 3 innings. If you wanted to go an opener, go with Brubaker. Ian Hamilton, he's been horrible. Horrible. I mean, Efros has not been any better. And who the fuck is Rico Garcia? And no one's going to be able to answer that because he's gone. He was gone 24 hours later. What a waste. It was just a complete waste of a game. I don't know why they would do that after having 4 days off. They had 4 days in order to prepare their rotation. They had 4 days to do it. They had 4 days. They had days to prepare for this. And as you say, Taz, is like they're always punting to the next series, always punting the next series. I mean, they've done it in the ALCS. What's the regular season in July going to do? You know, of course they're going to do that. That's what I'm saying. They just manage this. This is their process, by the way. This is the process that we all have to get behind. And this is the process that Brian Cashman keeps saying every single year. And I'm very, very proud of our process. Well, this is your process. This is your process where you don't prepare for a series, even though you've had from an all-star break, you've had 4 days off. And you couldn't even put together any kind of a pitching staff for that game as the opening game from the all-star break. Basically a kick in the face to your fans. That's your process. And oh, by the way, you're behind in the division. And you should be by far the best team in the division. And you are currently behind in the division, yet you still punted a game. That's your process. I mean, it's the sniveling arrogance where they're like, the regular season doesn't matter. We'll get to the postseason, and then we'll call it a crapshoot, and then whatever happens, we're going to talk about how great our process is. That's what I'm talking about. That's why it's really hard to get behind this management team, because they basically laugh in our face. They treat us like we're idiots, and they just go ahead and do idiotic things like this. Whoever thought that Ian Hamilton would be the right choice as an opener should get slapped across the head. Rico Garcia, who the fuck are you? You should get slapped across the head for that decision. I mean, honestly, it's just embarrassing. This is the New York Yankees. You're supposed to be trying to compete, trying to win the division, but you just treat it with like, I'll be fine. Doesn't really matter anyway. You know, if we win the division, great. If not, doesn't really matter. That's the Yankees' attitude now. You can see it. You can see it on the field. You can see it when they don't even cover first base. You can see it where they don't even bother to even cover second base. Aaron Judge was throwing to nobody because Anthony Volpe was standing in the outfield scratching his balls. I mean, this is what we're talking about. This is where we're at now, where no one covers any base. No one really seems to give a shit. And I text Rob. I was like, is this Aaron Boone or is it the players don't give a shit? And you said both. that's where we're at. That's why it's really hard to get behind. Now, obviously, it would be a lot angrier podcast if the Yankees lost Game 2 like they probably should have, considering the way they played, how badly they played. But their offense woke up and took advantage of a really bad Braves bullpen. Their bullpen's ass, and we took advantage of it. But that first game was exactly. I was going to say it's an embarrassment, but it's numbing at this point because we've been seeing it for 7 years. This is how the Yankees operate. They're a very arrogant organization where they think they're better than everybody else, and they can afford to take series off or take games off because the next one's always around the corner. It's an attitude I will never support. It's an attitude I will never get behind. It's a management team that I will never support or get behind because this is what they serve up to their fan base. This is not acceptable. The lack of preparation is unacceptable. Aaron Boone just standing at the top dugout step, just blowing pink bubbles while no one seems to cover any bases. No one runs hard, and it's just like doesn't seem to matter. I mean, what about when Aaron Boone lied to us all, where he said that he only benches guys if they don't run hard? That was a good one, and we'll get into that as the podcast goes on. But and dude, you're running out of excuses and running out of lies after 7 years, and so you're now just kind of struggling to keep up with your own lies because, dude, we've had multiple occasions where people don't run hard in this series alone. In the first 2 games, and Boone did nothing about it. So, I mean, this is what we're at. This is this team, and it's their process.
Yeah, well, their process sucks. Yeah, and we've been saying that for a while. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Look, you can logically say that a bullpen game in this series was almost inevitable with the Blister issue with Fried, not wanting to rush Littlin back into the rotation because he had to go get medical testing, and luckily everything came back fine. So they wanted to err on the side of caution with their young hot arm. I understand that. So you knew you were going into the second half with some questionable rotation issues. But the first game, that I still can't get over it. And we already won the series against them. Like, the series is over, and I'm still pissed off about the first game. Yeah, like that's how tone deaf they are to the fan base. They think we're all stupid, and I'm tired of them thinking I'm a fool. That it's the Yankees, they'll be fine. No, I don't have that mentality anymore. I used to be the optimistic one, and they're starting to break me, and it pisses me off. I want to.
I don't think it's just. Sorry to interrupt, but just to further on your point, I don't think it's just the fans that they treat with disrespect. They treat the league with disrespect. They think they're better than everybody, that they can just go ahead and do this. It's like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're behind the division, but it's fine. We're going to win it, or if not, it's fine. It's like. That's what I'm saying. It's like they have a general disrespect for the league in general. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you send out that pitching staff against the Atlanta Braves, who have Ronald Acuna Jr., they won the World Series a couple of years ago, and then they just treat it like, we'll punt it, be fine. That's what I'm saying. It's just like I think they generally treat the league with kind of a disdain that they're smarter than everybody else. They're going to outsmart the rest of the league. We're the ones that are the smartest. We're going to play guys out of position because we're the smartest. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're seeing because we're the smartest. Anthony Volpe is the best shortstop in the game, and you can't tell us otherwise because we're the smartest. It's just that I think that kind of arrogance. And then, I mean, that's not even just like hyperbole. Aaron Boone basically said a couple of years ago, the rest of the league is catching up to us. And at that point, they hadn't won a World Series in like a decade. And now it's been 5 years later. So the rest of the league is catching up to us, dude. Come on, honestly, just quit this nonsense.
They've been doing this gaslighting stuff for the last 8 years now. So and that's why it's so infuriating to me because I know this team is good, the talent's there, but to see them making mistakes like this still after we thought that they were going to correct them. Like, okay, we just got embarrassed on a national stage and we were told, the world was told what our problems were, and we're still doing it. Put the ball in play, the Yankees will figure the rest out. They'll figure it out for you. And that's what we're still doing. So it's just like, I don't know, man. It's annoying because I know this team, we're 11 games over 500. We're in a playoff spot. We should be a lot better. And that's why I'm bothered by it. We should be 10 games up in the division, or at least 7 or 8, like we were. But they took their foot off the gas and they said it's no big deal. But it is a big deal because you can't be blowing division leads like that, because now you're looking up at the Blue Jays, who have won, 10 straight? And if they win tonight, they set a franchise record for most wins in a row. So it's like, this was your doing. Your fundamentals, your process is what allowed 3 other teams to catch up to you and one to overtake you for the division lead. That's your process. We didn't do that. We were happy with the way they were playing for the first 2 months. We're like, hey, this team looks great. And then they took their foot off the gas. So naturally, we're going to tell it like it is. That's what we've been doing for 5 years. It's infuriating because I know this team is better, but I feel like we're not going to see the full potential of this team until there's a change made at the top.
Right.
And we've been saying this for years. And I said it last year, the biggest change they can make is internally. And they didn't do it. In fact, they extended that internal mistake. And we're stuck with this guy for at least another couple of years, unless Hal Steinbrenner has a complete change of heart. But this is the process. And it's not a good one, because it's a team that's 55 wins, should have 60 to 65.
Easy.
Like, that's not even an exaggeration. There have been so many games that they've lost that were winnable because of dumb decision making by the manager, by the roster construction. And, we're going to get into trade talks as well, because there's a rumor going around that Doran's brought up. I'm just saying I would make the trade, but this team should be a lot better, and that's why I'm so mad about it, because they're lying to us. Like, you bench players when they don't run hard. Gleyber Torres didn't get benched until last year. Gary Sanchez didn't get benched until he was traded. So it's like, you didn't do any of those things, and you're going to lie to us? Like, you forget that we watch these games too? You're going to straight up you're running out of lies, first of all, Boone.
Yeah.
You're running out of lies, and you're running out of bubble gum, because every day you're chewing on a new piece and you're lying about something else. And it's just like, and I think Damian brought it up earlier, and what's up to everybody in the chat? We want to get to you in a second, but they're going to, if they do win, it's going to be in spite of him, because there's nothing he's doing that's making this team better. And I know he's not the one pitching and fielding and all that, but it's up to the manager to be like, hey, enough is enough. We've got to do this better. Like he said, that can't happen with Bebos, the way he ran to third. Now it's a problem?
Yeah, now it's a problem.
It's only a problem when the young kid does it. I'm not trying to excuse him, but like, it was never a problem when Volpe did something wrong. All season long when Volpe was making mistakes. Oh, hell yeah, go steal third. But when Bebos has one problem, that can't happen again. You see what, like, those are the kind of things that you see and from this team, and you're just kind of like, why is it only when Bebos does it, but when Jazz jogs to first, no big deal.
Yep.
When Judge is throwing into the infield, no one's there, no big deal. When you're making the first and third out at third, no big deal. You're just throwing the ball all over the place. Your decision to put a Jazz at third base cost you numerous games. No big deal. But Bebos running to third a little bit lackadaisical, that can't happen ever again.
It's like, look at us. We're the Yankees, the most prestigious franchise, in sports, but they're not really giving you anything to watch. Everybody's just looking to see what mistake they're going to make next. And that's not good that's bad business. Good business is everybody that is hanging out in the chat with us. It is time to give everybody their shout out, their due. If you want to join the chat, it's very easy. Just hit that sub button. If you are watching and you are enjoying the show, just hit that like button as well and share this out. We got Doran hanging out with us. We got Acevedo. We mentioned him before. We got Damian Serrano in the building with us. We also have John the Beagle Dad. We got Stephen B hanging out. We got Lou. What's going on, Lou? We got Stephen B. We got Joe hanging out. We got Jonathan poking his head in. And, of course, NFV as well hanging out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And if you want more content to tune into, you can always check out NFV's channel, The Strike Zone. And we also have Luca hanging out with us. What's going on, Luca? Always good to see you hanging out with us in the mornings. So let's get to. I think it's we got to break down game two
Oh hell.
before we get to some of the trade talks, because it was another game where there was you saw that there was like a tale of two games again, where that game we were getting no hit and then down 5-0, we came back and won. And there were a portions of the fan base that were feeling the same way with this game, because they were putting, like, this series, they were putting good at bats together. Like they were running up a lot of full counts, and they weren't able to get that payoff hit. And you started to see it build as the game went on. They were wearing down the pitching, and that is something the Yankees are good at. They just have to start doing that for 9 innings, and they'll be fine. But I think that when you look at the second half of that game, it really was such a collaborative effort from everybody, where everybody had, like, that's what you want to see. Win, lose, or draw in a game, if they're all playing for each other,
Bro.
sometimes the results, can be a little different.
This offense is actually really good. If you look at it, right, you've got basically everyone apart from Anthony Volpe and Austin Wells that are batting league average or above. Trent Grisham, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, Judge, Chisholm, Dominguez, Rice, Stanton are all hitting league average or above. That's really impressive. That's a lot of guys. And that's a big improvement from last year, where it was basically just Judge and Soto. This year, it's completely different. Everyone is batting league average or above, high, like 750, 760 OPS into the 800s, into the 900s, and then Judge's case, the thousands. These are this is actually a good offense, and it's and then you've got two very good pitchers, and Fried and Rodon. There is a nucleus here, man. I can see it. There is a nucleus here that has the potential to be a championship caliber club. And just to touch on what we touched on earlier, with better management, this Yankee team would be a really serious team. But they're not, because of the management. But the offense came together and overcame Aaron Boone, and overcame the lack of fundamentals, and overcame the lack of any kind of preparation on the field. It's pretty obvious that they don't do any work on the base paths or fielding drills or anything. They don't do any work whatsoever in that case. And people would be like, "How do you know, Donald? You're not there in the dugout." Well, dude, it's pretty obvious, right? Just look at it. It's been going for 7 years, but it's actually getting worse each year, right? It's actually gotten worse from last year, and the Dodgers laughed at us last year, right? It's actually gotten worse since then, right? So it's either two things, and both things are unacceptable. One, Aaron Boone is doing that, but it's going in one ear and out the other, which means that Aaron Boone's not doing his job. Or two, Aaron Boone isn't doing anything whatsoever, which also means that Aaron Boone's not doing his job. That's why I'm saying this team's really good, except for the manager, except for the management, except for Mike Fishman. But Game 2 showed everything what this Yankees are. They hit really freaking well. They've come through in the clutch. You've got Trent Grisham hitting a grand slam. He's had such a great year. You've had a bunch of guys come through. You've seen it, this offense. You've seen it all in one nutshell. That game was like a microcosm. The offense absolutely bails out a bullpen which is kind of fallen flat in his ass due to overwork or due to injuries or due to lack of performance. And also the offense overcame Aaron Boone and the team's lack of preparation. Pretty impressive comeback. It was actually probably the best comeback of the year. It's probably the best comeback they probably had in a couple of years. I didn't expect it. I was certain they were going to lose, and they came back. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you just I remember saying like during the spring, like this offense is going to be better than people give it credit for, and they've still been a top like three offense in baseball. Like despite the losing that they had in June, like they're still one of the best offenses in baseball. They still have like 112 a plus 112 run differential. Like they're still really good offensively, but they can be better. And that's the thing. Like this team should be a lot better. And pitching wise, they have like one of the best batting averages against, but the ERA is like top 15. The bullpen's been really bad lately, and like look at Loizaga, and they're calling up guys like Rico Garcia and these other randoms that are just, or Aaron Boone throwing an injured Mark Leiter out there every single game, which put him on the shelf. So a lot of these things do point back to the guy in charge and the guy that the Yankees say is not a puppet. They say it's him. He's making these decisions, but I think we know differently. But it's just like, again, to repeat myself, this is why I'm so frustrated, because you watch a game like that where they come back to score 12 and they come back in dramatic fashion, a grand slam to take the lead and go win that game. This team should be so much further ahead in the standings than third or second place in the division. They should be at least 3 games up. They should be 4, 5, 6 games up on the rest of them, because I do believe we're better than Toronto. Not to knock what they've done, because the Blue Jays have been really freaking good, but those 3 teams, the Rays, Blue Jays, and Red Sox, all had to catch fire at the exact same time as the Yankees struggled. And I'm just like, if they just never took their foot off the gas and pretended like everything was okay, we'd be laughing our way to another division title. And that's what they should be doing in a wide open American League. They should be flexing their muscle and be like, we are the bully of the AL. Whether it doesn't matter who our competition is, we're going to bully you around. That's what they should be doing, because they have the talent. You could put up, how many double-digit games have we had this year? I think it's more than last year at this stage, and we thought the offense would be worse, but it's been a hell of a lot better because it has been more complete. Imagine if they added one more bat to it, like a Suarez, or in the offseason got an actual third baseman. These are all things that have kind of gone on that we've been saying for months and months and years now, but these are things that the Yankees just don't do because their process won't allow it. And that you're right. That game was a complete example of what the Yankees are. They will bother you and bother you and bother you, and then you're kind of like, they reel you back in, but then you're just kind of like, there's still so many problems with this team. And yesterday was actually a much more complete game. Really good pitching by Stroman. Give him credit. The offense came through when it needed to, and the bullpen was able to lock it down. So, like, I don't know. I still don't know. It's July 21st, and I still don't know what the hell this team is. And I've been saying this for the entire season. I don't know what they are. They're a team that's going to make me really happy one day, and then it's going to make me want to put my head underwater for a few seconds the next. And see, it made Tats want to leave. So it's just like, it's a confusing team. It's a confusing season. And this is a team that should be a hell of a lot better. And they just, for whatever reason, don't seem like they care. And that's what bothers me as a fan, because I know they're better. And I think they know they're better, but they just don't seem to care.
Facts.
While we await Tats' return, let's see what we got going on here in the chat. The series will let you know what they are. Jay Snow, you're right. This series with the Blue Jays is very, very important. It'll really let us know what they are. This bullpen is cheeks. Yeah, well, lately they've been really freaking terrible. I don't know how they improve it. But let's talk about the trade deadline, because that is pretty pressing rumors. There was a rumor that went out last night from Ricky Ricardo, the Spanish play-by-play announcer. Apparently there's an offer on the table for Suarez, Kelly, and Jalen Beeks, who's hurt. Go figure. For five prospects that does not include Jones or Lombard, but does include Cam Schlittler. So, Donald, what do you think about that?
I don't think this is the year to go all in for 5 prospects. I don't think it is. But I really, really don't want Hayes from Pittsburgh. Really. I've heard that they've even considered trading Schlittler for Hayes. and that would be malpractice. That would be considered malpractice. I'm I'm really not sure whether this is the year to go all in. The bullpen is completely decimated, and it needs rebuilt. Not just like add an arm or two. It needs fundamentally rebuilt. And Williams isn't exactly like filling you with confidence, is he? He's given up 2 earned runs this series alone, and his ERA is in the high fours. And you know you're not going to re-sign him next year, so you wonder like what they're going to do with that. I don't think this is the year to go all in, but I mean, I want Suarez absolutely, because if you add him to that lineup, it's going to be a monster lineup. That's a monster lineup. I mean, on paper, you have him behind Judge and Stanton and Jazz. I mean, that is a monster lineup. And then you want to be there. So listen, if you have to give up a Schlittler, I guess for Suarez, but you'd have to have a guarantee that Suarez is going to extend for 2 further years, because I don't want to give up Schlittler just for a rental. I think that's just a waste of resources. And we have precious few resources, pitching wise, in the minors that you'd want to be just giving away for rentals. Like we need to be better in that regard. So we need to have an assurance from Suarez that he's going to extend before I would even consider making that trade. So Duran says Suarez is on record saying that he wants to go to Detroit to end his career where it started. Oh dear. Well, if that's the case, then we wouldn't get that assurance that we'd probably need. I don't know about giving up 5 prospects. I really don't. I think it's an overpay for some rentals. I would probably nix that deal. Hate to say it because I do really want Suarez, but I don't know. I don't think this is the year to go all in, just with all the rest of the issues we have, pitching wise, bullpen wise. There's just a lot. But as a player, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I think when you look at his numbers, he does fit into the Yankee organization really well. He's not, he strikes out a lot. He's got the power numbers. But I think really, aside from the offense, what you have to look at with Suarez is the defense, and we need a legitimate third baseman. I think, and I know this is not a name that a lot of people are comfortable with talking about and don't really – I'm not a big fan of bringing guys back that we've already had.
Don't say IKF.
Don't do that.
I'm – believe me, he is not on the front of my list. But I think to totally dismiss it, especially on the defensive end at third base, if you put him in the position he was actually brought here to play, and he was playing very well until they decided that Donaldson was an upgrade. I think that gives you because I think you get a better package of guys from Pittsburgh. I think you could also steal Bednar from them and get another guy for your bullpen.
IKF is barely an upgrade, and that the bar is fucking hell for third baseman right now. Okay, like we've had Peraza, who cannot hit, playing third base for us. Bibas can't play third that well, and he also can't hit. And we had DJ LeMahieu playing there for like a day. They had to put Jazz over there, who was terrible at third. He doesn't move. Yes, Lou, he does not move the needle. You cannot have 2 light hitting infielders on the left side of your infield in both Volpe and IKF. The defense might be better, sure. He's hitting almost 300, but he's not doing much else. He was the player he is with Pittsburgh is the exact same player he was with us. So if you're looking for a defensive upgrade at third and you don't really care about the bat, just play Peraza every day.
Right.
Because at some point with regular playing time, Peraza might be able to squeak his average over 200. If that's what your bar is and you don't really care, just hold on to your prospects. But you want someone, because as good as this offense has been, they've also been prone to the slumps. Jazz Chisholm's had some slumps. Bellinger has a really hot streak and then he cools off. Goldschmidt was ice cold for like a month and a half. Aaron Judge can't do it all by himself. We know Stanton will have his lulls eventually, as he's gotten hot lately, but he will slow down. That's just how he is. Wouldn't you want another guy that can hit one over the wall or get you that big hit? I'll ask you this. Who would you rather have up in a clutch moment with the game on the line? Suarez or IKF?
Oh no, definitely Suarez. No, the only reason I brought up IKF is because he has been in the talking points for a while, and I think it's only fair we give our our perspective on IKF. And I think that the only way that a package with IKF would work is if other pitchers from Pittsburgh are coming with him. So that's the only reason why that deal with the Pirates would even make an iota of sense for the Yankees, because we can get a guy maybe like Keller or Bednar. I think that's where that would come more into play, where IKF is kind of like more of the throw-in that gives you a defensive upgrade.
I mean, but you're talking about defensive
like I said
upgrade.
before I started, he's not on the top of my list at all. But
by the way, I think kind of Falefa's weighted runs created plus is 83.
Right.
So that's like 17% below average, right? So even though he's batting 265, it's the lightest 265 you'll ever see. Plus his WAR is 0.5. So that's not an upgrade. The Yankees are obsessed with him.
No, Suarez is the upgrade.
The Yankees are obsessed with IKF. They are absolutely obsessed with him. And they are also obsessed with dudes from the Pirates. And I would love to move on from that. But I think it's only the Pirates that Brian Cashman can discuss trades with, because every other team is afraid to discuss trades with Brian Cashman because he's such a tough negotiator. So he usually just goes with the Pirates. But the problem is the Pirates suck ass. Completely suck ass. I don't want any Pirate. No, IKF is a firm no. If I see on my timeline that IKF is a Yankee, I'm going to go insane. I'm done with IKF. The Yankees misused him before, and they'll misuse him again, and they'll keep misusing him. He's not the player. If another organization got hold of IKF and made him a platoon third baseman or whatever, then he'd be a very valuable player. But the Yankees, the last time they had him, they moved him to shortstop, and he was the worst shortstop you'll ever see. Well, until Anthony Volpe came along. But he's really bad. So I don't trust what the Yankees do with these kind of utility players, because they tend to utilize them the wrong way. So I don't want IKF anywhere near the Yankees.
No, the guy to get is Suarez.
Right.
That's the guy to get. Like, if they really want to pay more in prospects, then you can call up the Twins and try to get Castro, he's a rental as well. Or maybe they have a change of heart and they try to add salary and take Correa and move him to third, which I don't think is a smart move. So, like I said the other day, the options are very, very limited. There's only realistically 2 upgrades, and they're both rentals. IKF's not an upgrade. I don't want to hear Brian Hayes' name get mentioned. So you're looking at 2 potential upgrades to third base, and that's really it, and they're both rentals. So that's why I've always been more willing to trade pitching than I am offensive prospects. So I would trade Schlittler, because I feel like the Yankees have several other arms that are coming up within the next year or so that are going to match what he's done. Like LeGrand is blowing guys away 100+ easily. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz is one of their top guys now, and we got him for Narvaez, so he's making some noise. So they seem to churn out pitching a lot easier than they do hitting. Look at their first 2 picks from last year, Ben Hess and Bryce Cunningham, who both had high ERAs in college, and people are like, what are the Yankees doing? They're both having really good seasons right now in single A, and they're making some noise. They could be potentially part of that trade for Suarez, because the Diamondbacks need pitching. So I'd be more willing to trade Schlittler to get Suarez and Merrill Kelly. I don't want Beeks because he's hurt. Stay away from the injured players, please. But because I don't think trading Schlittler sacrifices your future. As much as I like him, if you trade Jones, or they're not going to trade Lombard, but if they traded Jones for a rental, I feel like that's sacrificing your future, but you can still go quote unquote all in for this year and still be focused on 2026 as well. I don't think Cam Schlittler being traded sacrifices 2026 because you're still going to have Fried, Rodon, Heel. You'll get Cole back midseason. You won't have Schmidt, but you still have guys like Warren. LeGrand could be ready. Some of these other arms could be ready. They can always sign somebody back like a Michael King. The Yankees love to spend on pitching more than they do hitting. So I would do it. I also said I would trade Heel for Kyle Tucker, and that was met with a lot of criticism.
Prospects we don't know yet. Plus,
right, but if it's not Jones or Lombard, I think, like if it's like one of Hess and Cunningham, maybe even a Brock Selvage, who I really like, and you're looking at maybe an infielder, like Vargas, maybe Vargas entices them. I don't think Arias would have to be part of it, but I think you might have to. I don't know if that rumor's true, by the way, because a lot of these times these play-by-play guys get sources and they're completely wrong. So take everything with a grain of salt this time of year, but
that seems a lot for Brian Cashman to give up, to be fair.
He's done it before, though. Remember the trade with the White Sox? He gave up like 4 or 5 guys for Robertson, Canely, and Frazier. Well, 2 of them were under team control, but I feel like this year it's rentals, or you're not going to find that team control guy that's an upgrade, because K. Brian Hayes is under team control, but he's terrible. So it's not like there's a Jose Ramirez available to get, because if he was available, then I'm giving up the fucking farm for him, but it's really only rentals.
As I say, I would make the trade as long as I got an assurance as far as was willing to come back and was willing to extend. If I got that assurance, then I would go ahead and make the deal for Schlittler. Otherwise, I wouldn't, because I don't want to keep trading assets away for rentals, not bring them back. So that's a loss of talent. You know, and we need to do better with talent acquisition, and we need to do better with keeping your talent as well. So I'm on the fence with that. Question though: would Suarez or say a Merrill Kelly, whatever, would that make us a World Series caliber team?
I think it makes us more likely of a World Series caliber team than Cam Schlittler. That's how I put it. I like Cam Schlittler a lot. I really do. But I'm seeing some outrageous takes over the last 2 weeks since he made his debut. The Yankees found their next Paul Skeens. Whoever said that, please just stop talking forever. He's untouchable now because of one start. 2 weeks ago, you didn't know who this guy's name was. And now he's untouchable. This is what I mean by Yankees fans sometimes. A group of them will put unrealistic expectations on a kid. He had one start, and now he's the next Paul Skeens. He's the next Garrett Cole. Oh, they've never had a pitcher like this in their system. Luis Heel won Rookie of the Year last fucking season. So it's like the Yankees are very good at developing pitching in the minor leagues. Putting unrealistic expectations on Cam Schlittler. This guy's the next ace. I don't want to trade him away. He had one start. Like, let's not do that to the kid. So I'm not saying
really good stuff though. He throws in the high 90s. We don't have enough of that. And
they develop that though. Look at guys like Cunningham and Hess, LeGrand. These guys are throwing gas, and a lot of people don't recognize these names because they're not in. Or now LeGrand is, but they're single A. Like, who cares? But just a year ago, nobody knew Cam Schlittler's name until this spring. They're like, oh, hey, look at this guy. He's throwing 100. There's going to be somebody else next year that's doing that. It could be someone from this past draft class. The Yankees do a very good job at finding these college arms.
Well, we're talking years away, bro. Like, we need immediate pitching, and Schlitter does provide immediate pitching.
He does, but what if he craps out? There's always that possibility with prospects. You know, like, I'm not saying he will, because I really do like him. And in a perfect world, he would be the next number 3, number 4 guy. But we're not in a perfect world. If you're going to hold on to prospects and not go get the guy that's going to help you right now, I feel like you have a better chance of winning with Suarez and Kelly right now than you do with Cam Schlittler. Schlittler will help you next year and the year after that, but
does this put us ahead of the Tigers? I don't see it.
The Tigers are leading off Jahmai Jones. I don't know if they're as good as people think they are. You know, like, I know that they got really good pitching and they've got a few good bats in there, but
pitching wins championships. I don't know. I would probably say no to that deal. I'm certainly not trading Spencer Jones under any circumstances whatsoever. I'm just not convinced that even if you add Suarez, that this team's a world championship team. Um, we aren't even in the top 10 best records in the majors, are we?
I
We're
don't think
like
so. No.
no, we're like 10th at best, maybe 11th. We're a while away. I think we're about a ways away. I mean, as I say, if we're in the National League, we wouldn't even be in the playoff conversation. Luckily, we're in the American League. I'm thinking, do I really want to give up a really good prospect that's still going to have value in the winter for a rental that I'm not guaranteed is going to come back? He's also 34. It's expensive. It seems like a very expensive deal to make. I mean, I would do it for Ramirez, absolutely,
Oh, I
100
wouldn't even
times out of
blink.
100. But I'm not sure about a rental who's like 34. Um, I'm just not convinced. I'm just not convinced that it's the right move. I won't be mad at it if it happens. I'll be like, okay, cool. But I'm still not convinced that even if you add Suarez, that this team can win the world championship because, as I've said, look at the manager. So, like, we last year we had Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, and Juan Soto, and you still couldn't win the World Series. In fact, you got laughed at in the World Series. That says to me that I also don't care who we add. The biggest move that we could possibly make is to fire Aaron Boone, bring in a new manager, and this team would be a hell of a lot better anyway. I absolutely swear, I swear, beat on this table, swear that honestly, if there was a move to make, that would be the move to make, and this team would be better.
You're absolutely right. We've been saying this for years since we started the show. The best move they can make is to get rid of the manager. Luca is saying, what happens if the D-backs don't trade Suarez? It's a great point because they're not far out of it. Who's the third base option for the Yankees then? IKF or Yandy Diaz? That's what I'm saying. It's so limited that, and Dorn's bringing up a great point, the Diamondbacks can control this market because they have the best chip on the market right now in Suarez. Because they can say, we're holding on to him, we're going to make a run at it. But they can trade him and know that so many teams want him. You might have to give, if you're not going to give up a Jones or Lombard, if the Yankees are saying these guys are off the table, and I believe Lombard should be, Jones, I wouldn't trade for a rental, but I would consider trading him for like a really good controllable player. That guy's not available this year, or any year really. I think you have to give up a Cam Schlittler. If that's the trade you have to make to get a guy that's going to make you immediately better, you might have to do it. Because your other options are who? We're going to call up Candelario from AAA, who was so bad the Reds DFA'd him. Are we going to trade for IKF? Are we going to trade for Brian Hayes? I don't think that upgrade's out there outside of Suarez. Or they go call up the Twins and try to get Willie Castro. But again, it's another rental. What are you going to have to give up to get Willie Castro? What are the Twins going to need? So these teams that are still on the bubble of right on the outside looking in at the playoff race, but have good rentals to trade, the asking price is going to be higher because there's so many teams in contention.
But yeah, it's Suarez, but still, we won't have a bullpen. That's why I just don't think that this team is a world championship team because the bullpen's a mess. And to be honest, if anything, we should be looking at trading some of our rentals because I would love to get some assets back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm looking at Williams. Now you don't want to because we have no bullpen, so we can't really trade him. But he's not going to come back next year. He doesn't like being here. It's pretty obvious, right? He's underperformed, but he's such an elite closer. He is elite. I just think that he would be elite in a smaller market like Milwaukee. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to let him walk away without a qualifying offer. I don't want to let him walk away for nothing because he's such a talented player. He's very, very good. I just don't think he fits as a Yankee. And then that would be someone that you could at least get some assets back for, so that if you did trade Schlittler for Suarez, then that wouldn't hurt as much because at least we're getting a prospect back. Or Trent Grisham, but Grisham's Grand Slam basically surely ends any chances of him getting traded. But I mean, that would be an ideal candidate, someone whose value is sky high, someone we're probably not going to bring back next year. He's probably going to hit 25 home runs this year, be way past his career high. He will have some massive value if you traded him. And then you can, but you don't want to do that either because, as I say, he's been one of our most consistent hitters. That's why I'm saying the Yankees are in a very tough spot here. Very tough spot. They're not one of the elite teams in the league as it stands, right? Just being absolutely transparent. They're not, right? On paper, yes. In reality, no, right? But they're also not far enough away in which a couple of acquisitions could have them steamroll right through the American League. It's possible. So they're kind of in this in-between situation, you know what I'm saying? Where they're certainly not bad enough to sell, but also they're not good enough in which you guarantee have to make a move either. They're kind of in that in-between. That's why I'm very unsure about what best move the Yankees can make. Because I'm really looking at next year. I think next year is the year. I've been saying it basically since
spring.
Yeah, since spring. I think next year is the year. You look at this team. Nicholas is there. A couple of additions in free agency and a smart trade, and a new manager, and I would make them the Yankees' favorites for the World Series next year. Just this year, it just feels like, Luke is right. A failure at the deadline is standing pat. I know it's just they have to be smart as well. And I'm just thinking big picture. Even with Suarez, I don't think this Yankee team is good enough because they don't have any bullpen. And so that's why I'm kind of in between here. I'm not sure whether they should stick or twist, frankly. I think a little bit of both would actually be beneficial. Trade a couple of Reynolds, plus get a Suarez back, and I'd be pretty happy with it.
I think you kind of have to do a little bit of both. I don't want to trade Devin Williams because, like you said, we don't have a good bullpen. Like outside of Weaver and him, like who's going to be our setup man? Like if we trade Williams, who's going to set up for Weaver? It's like we're going down this ladder of just nonsense after if we do trade Williams. But
you see my point though. But him walking away for nothing is a massive L. But then you can't bring him back either because he's not been good. That's why we're in this tough spot.
Right. If they pulled off some crazy trade for like Duran from the Twins, like if they made some massive trade to get Castro and Duran and Danny Colombe from the Twins, which is wishful thinking, that's not going to happen. But if they did something like that, then yeah, you can trade Devin Williams and get some assets back. You can maybe even think about trading a Trent Grisham for a quality bullpen arm or two. But I think that, again, the options are so limited that Luca's right. If you stand pat, it's not helping because the team does need upgrades. Brian Cashman acknowledged that himself. And if you make the all-in move, the thing is, again, I'll say it again, I don't think trading Cam Schlittler sacrifices the future. And I'm not saying that because I don't like him. I'm not saying that because I think he's going to be a bust. I think he's going to be good. But you can't, the Yankees, they can't sacrifice this year for next year. Like, if you can go get Suarez and it doesn't cost you Spencer Jones, I think you have to do it. You're not trading Lombard. He's untouchable. I think he's the only untouchable in the system, actually. They love Lombard. I think everybody else is up for grabs. And Damian, I think you're right, actually, about that. Don't be surprised if Rice is traded. I don't want to trade Ben Rice, but it would not shock me if they put him on the block.
But what about the fact that he's probably going to be your first baseman next year because you're not going to bring back Goldschmidt?
I think they're going to move Bellinger. If they stick with Spencer Jones, they'll put Bellinger at first and have Jones play center.
But then Ben Rice will still be there, kind of like it's a platoon situation.
Right, but right now he's literally just a platoon first baseman, catcher, or DH. If some team is saying we'll give you so and so for Ben Rice, then the Yankees. I don't want to get again. I do not want to trade Ben Rice. I love Ben Rice, but I'm agreeing with Damian to a point. If he does get traded, it would not shock me.
Remember, though, Stanton's probably not going to be here in 2 years.
I don't think he might not last past next year. If the injuries keep up.
So then Ben Rice will be your everyday DH.
Or he could be the first baseman. He could be the DH. I'm not saying trade him. Trust me on that. I'm not saying put him in a trade. I'm just saying it would not shock me.
Well, as I say, we can all agree that this team, the nucleus of this team, is very, very good. I like the nucleus, absolutely. I just can't get past the fact that our management team basically shoots ourselves in the foot. Thus, it's hard for me to get overly excited by whatever star we add, because we've already shown that with a Juan Soto having a career year, with Aaron Judge having 62 home runs, with a Garrett Cole winning a Cy Young and missing the playoffs that year, and Big G being a monster. Basically, whenever he's healthy, Big G hits every single time. He's an absolute monster. And he's got no elbows right now, and he's still an absolute monster. It doesn't matter. We've got the stars, but this team still doesn't win a World Series. Why? Because of the management. Because of the management. That's why. So I won't get overly excited. I mean, I jumped for joy when we added Garrett Cole. I did basically an all-nighter just to wait till Juan Soto news was done. But it was all for waste. Because we still didn't win. So I'm sorry. The Yankees, I disagree, Ollie. They have the talent to do it. They do, but they're not just a few pieces away from winning a World Series. They're multiple pieces away, plus a better manager. Plus a better analytics guy in Mike Fishman. Probably a better GM too. That's why I'm not going to get overly excited. I think that we've seen this series, why this Yankee team is incredibly frustrating. So what I would do is let's wait to see how this Blue Jay series goes. Because if the Yankees lose this Blue Jay series, I'm not trading Cam Schluttler. Because I think it would be too far away to be trading away for rentals. We need to make a real push. If we make a push over the next couple of days, if we bulldoze the Blue Jays, and then, we take on the Phils, and then we do well against the Phils, then, okay, you know what? We made a bit of a run. Let's go all in. But I need to see it, because right now we're behind. We don't have a particularly good record. I just don't want to trade more rentals. So that's where I'm at with them. They're in that in between. They're a very awkward team, a little bit of a weird team. Not good enough to win a World Series as it stands, but not bad enough to sell either.
You're right. Yeah, these next 6 games, or these next 3 games, are really the most important 3 games of the season to this point. If they come out flat again and lose to the Blue Jays like they did last time, then you got to settle for the wild card, because I don't know if they can survive another sweep or another series loss to them and come back and take the division. But also, it wouldn't be enough for them to give up on the season. So even if they did lose this series, they're not going to be like, oh, the season's over, because they'd be what, 9 games over 500 and still holding a playoff spot. They're not going to give up. So they're still going to make moves. But if they come out and win this series and make it a 2-game, 1-game lead or deficit, or if they sweep it and tie it, they're going to go. They might make a trade right after that.
And they probably should. I would say this Blue Jays series is the key. If they lose this Blue Jays series, I ain't trading none. If they win it, then let's go. All hands on deck.
It should be a very fun couple of days here, because this series probably will make or break the Yankees' trade deadline plans. As it stands right now, Cashman said he needs to get like 4 different players. You talked about third base, bullpen arms, and a starter. You can get 3 of those from Arizona or Minnesota. So I don't
Dude,
know
if I
what
was
else.
the GM, I would be embarrassed by that. By the way,
Yeah, that's his own doing. He could have
that's what I'm doing.
done that in the offseason.
That's what I was saying. It was like that's why I was so frustrated because you could have gotten a good third baseman so much cheaper in the off season. That was the off season when you make the big trades. It's not mid season. Not with the extended wild card because there's more teams competing. There's less teams that are out of it. Prices are going to be higher, right? The Yankees under Brian Cashman now operate where they leave positions vacant. They get to the trade deadline going, oh, we'll just go and get it at the deadline. But at that point, the prices are sky high because they obviously know that the one position we need is a third baseman. So the cost is going to be one of our top prospects now. That's why you needed to attack that stuff in the offseason. That's also Hal Steinbrenner because he held the Yankees to Marcus Stroman's contract. Whereas if he lessened the purse strings and allowed us to go and acquire that third baseman, then this wouldn't be a conversation. And we'd be a better team. We probably wouldn't be in this spot. So I'm sorry. Brian Cashman go, oh, we need multiple moves. Well, that's on you. You were the one that built a bullpen that was very much kind of there's lack of strikeouts in that bullpen. And it's come back to bite us a little bit. And you were the one that left third baseman completely open.
2 years in a row.
I mean, that's on him. It's entirely on him.
They could have gotten
it. Lucas just filled in my point. That's it.
Yeah, they could have signed Colin Bay because he was sitting in free agency for months, and he's got a .65 ERA this year. That's how good he's been.
Geez.
Lefty, we needed that for months, and and I like Tim Hill, but they could have done a lot more. Didn't cost the Twins much to sign him. We know about Bregman, even though he's hurt. He signed for a big deal, but they obviously have the money. They could have gotten him for maybe a longer-term deal with less money involved. There were options, and they said, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to wait, and now you're going to have to, I'm telling you, you're going to have to trade Cam Schlittler if you're going to get a third baseman. If you're not going to trade Spencer Jones, you're going to have to trade Cam Schlittler. I don't know if there's another way of getting it done without trading Schlittler.
Toronto's a good point. We don't draft strong enough to plug all the holes. That's true.
Well, the Yankees drafted like 8 shortstops this past draft. So
the Yankees kind of have an all-star in every position, though, guys. I mean, we don't have an all-star in every position. We used to in the mid-thousands, but not anymore. I mean, our shortstop's not. We don't have a third baseman. I could do with a couple more all-stars, Dave.
yeah, we win a lot more games with that.
A lot more. Listen, if we added Suarez, I would not be mad at it, even if it cost us Schlittler. But I'm still unsure because as great as Nucleus is, they do need to make the right moves. I'm unsure about rentals or where we Yankees are right now because they're kind of in between.
Yep. I feel like you're spot on there because, like, obviously you have Judge, but if Cole was healthy, this team would probably have a few more wins under their belt. They're going to get Heel back, and they're going to use that as an acquisition. They've already said it, like they're going to treat that like an acquisition. So it wouldn't shock me if they don't get a starting pitcher. So maybe if it lessens the price on Suarez, we don't have to give up 5 prospects, and you don't take back a Merrill Kelly, then maybe it's a 3-for-1 swap or a 3-for-2, even though Beeks is hurt and he's like the only guy that would really entice the Yankees at this point. It'll be a fun 10 days, though, because the rumors should be flying out there and the Yankees know they have to make moves. But I'll say this, I will be disappointed if they don't do anything, obviously, or if they say IKF and Bednar and we're set. If they go that route, that's playing it too safe, and also telling us that you really don't take it as seriously as you say you do. I don't hate IKF at all. I don't think he's the upgrade.
Oh God, he's not. What has he got? 83 WRC plus. That's
right.
That's not an upgrade to anything.
You want to tell me you're serious? You go get Suarez. That tells me you're serious. Or you make a big trade with the Twins and get like a Duran, or you get Castro, and on top of that, like you make like a trade that no one really sees coming. That tells me that you're playing the series.
I would like a surprise trade.
Right.
That has control and a little bit of creativity. I'd love to see that, because that's what the Yankees don't do very well. They don't do creative trades. They never have. That would what I'd probably prefer, because I'm still very unsure about a 34-year-old Rental. As great as a player as he is, though, he's really fucking good, and it'd be very, very fucking exciting. And I would certainly enjoy going to the stadium if I was enjoying seeing that kind of talent. But I'm just thinking long term. But one other thing that's long term is Spencer Jones. 10 home runs in 16 games. He is destroying AAA. That's why I've been kind of beating on this train for years now. Spencer Jones is my favorite prospect. I love Spencer Jones, and it looks like it's coming together for him this year, because it's just really come together this year for him. He's destroying AAA. 10 home runs in 16 games. You're probably making a case that you probably should be in the bigs fairly soon. But what would the Yankees do? How would the Yankees get him in?
There really is no way right now, because you'd have to keep Dominguez as a platoon guy, or that meant they traded Ben Rice and had Bellinger play first, and that frees up an opportunity to put Jones in center. But then you kind of platoon, what's up, Ivan? Then you kind of platoon Goldschmidt, which might not be the worst thing in the world, because you still have two good defensive first basemen in Bellinger and Goldschmidt. That might be the only way to get Jones up here right now, is if you trade Ben Rice, or if you trade Dominguez, which they're not going to do, so which they shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think he's probably next year thing. But dude, if he continues to mash like this, they need to find a way of getting him in. I wish he could play third base. Holy shit!
We say that about every prospect that hits. I wish he could play third.
Or shortstop.
We're saying that about Ben Rice this year. I wish he could play third.
Right. God, I wish he could play the left side of the infield. The Yankees team would be unstoppable. We wouldn't even need to make a trade.
No, just call him up. Put him at
Call
third.
him up. He's that good.
To be fair, they have the third baseman ready in the wings that's hitting, and they don't call him up. So they're not going to call up Jesus Rodriguez.
10 home runs in 16 games, though. That's absurd. How many guys have you heard that's hitting like that in AAA?
What he's doing is video game like.
Right.
It's like when you play Road to the Show and you just turn the difficulty down so you can get called up quicker. Like, it's nice to see that his swing changes and his stance changes helped him. The strikeout rate's still there. It's dropped a little bit in AAA, but it was still there in AA. And that's what's kind of holding him back from being elevated on prospect lists. Like, he's back up to like the number 2 guy for the Yankees, but he still hasn't cracked the top 100. So scouts are still looking at that, but I mean, you can't deny the power and the defense. And even if he does come up here and is like a Texas Joey Gallo with a lower average and the high on base and slugging and all that, 40 home run power with the Yankee Stadium short porch, like, you can't deny that. But I think you need to see a little, because it's not going to do that in the major leagues. He's not going to come up and hit 10 in 16 games. Like, you can't put that he could. The power's there. But
why not? Aaron Judge does.
He's not.
No one said that about Aaron Judge. I'm not saying he's Aaron Judge, but people can do it. It's not. I like Ivan's point. Trade Grisham now and bring up Jones for the fourth outfielder. Use the $4.3 million value in a trade towards pitching or relief. That's kind of my mindset, Ivan. Like, I quite like the idea of, if you were to acquire Suarez and the prospects you have to give up to acquire Suarez, we would accrue by trading a rental like a Grisham or a Williams, because then you're accruing some talent back in order that it's not such a huge loss. And Grisham seems to be the most available. It's just be very hard to trade someone who just hit a grand slam and saved your season, because if we lost to the Braves, the season would be over, as far as I'm concerned. He hit that grand slam, saved the season. It'd be very difficult to trade him, but it seems the most obvious because you're not losing. Because Jones is an elite center fielder defensively, from what we're seeing. He looks fantastic, great range. He's a monster offensively too. So we're not really losing anything if we traded Grisham. Let's be honest. Get some prospects back. So then I would be far more open to trading Schlittler for a rental like Suarez. In that case, I do subscribe to that. Do a little bit of both. I think we need to asset manage better than Brian Cashman has done in the past. He's not asset managed very well in the past. And that's why the Yankees never really take a huge step forward. Let's be honest, they haven't.
I mean, if there was ever a year to do a little bit of both, is this year. They did that in 2016. I know people thought it was a rebuild, but they still nearly made the playoffs that year, surprisingly. When they made all those trades, they were still only a few games out of it, and they finished above 500. So they're never going to go full rebuild. So this is the perfect opportunity to do a little bit of both. Sell off some pieces that you know you're not going to keep, and also use some of the assets that you have that might be a sell-high candidate, like a Cam Schlittler, and add to your team. And you can also keep some certain prospects. So the time to trade Heel was the offseason.
Exactly. We actually had the opportunity of trading Heel to get Kyle Tucker, and we turned it down. So,
yeah.
In hindsight, probably make that trade.
I was just saying I was met with a lot of criticism. There were virtual fists flying towards me when I said I would trade him for Kyle Tucker. I love Luis Heel, but Kyle Tucker would have made this team immensely better. Pereira for Miggy Andujar. We ready to see double clutch Andujar back at third? No. I don't want that.
I don't want the Yankees go anywhere near these any more utility guys because they always misutilize these utility guys. They didn't know what to do with Andujar, and we had them. We had no idea what to do with them. We had to play him left, play him first, third, fucking everywhere. No idea what to do with them. And ended up getting rid of him for absolutely nothing. That's what I'm saying. The Yankees' talent management is no good. It's been an issue for years now. I don't have an issue with their pitching development or their catcher development. It's basically everything else. Although their outfield management looks pretty fucking good, man. I'll be honest, but
they got some hitters in that system, man. Like obviously, you can't look past what Jones is doing. You look at Flores just got called up to AAA. He's another catcher hitting the crap out of the ball. Jesus Rodriguez, Rojas in the system. You got obviously Lombard starting to come around a little by little. It's not like they don't have hitters, but if you look at their top 30, at least if you go on pipeline, it's a lot of pitching. And that's why I'm more comfortable trading a pitcher to get even a rental now because the Yankees churn these things out left and right. And they've had to keep drafting and developing because they keep trading pitching because teams want their pitching. How many guys have we lost in the Rule 5? How many guys have we lost in trades? And it hasn't really depleted the system because, like I said, Ben Hess and Bryce Cunningham, they were looked at as like, what the heck are you doing drafting these guys? Look at their ERAs in college. I think Hess had like a 4.4 at Alabama in his last year, and then Cunningham at Vanderbilt had an ERA of like 5.3. And now they've been two of the most exciting arms in the system. We can't forget that Brock Selvage exists. We can't forget that guys like when Chase Hampton is finally healthy, he's probably our best pitching prospect. So like we have a lot of really solid arms that are coming up that people don't know about yet. I say this every year. Schlittler is basically what Hampton was last year. You can't trade Chase Hampton, and now it's you can't trade Cam Schlittler. So if you get rid of Cam Schlittler, someone's going to take that spot next year. Like, oh, you can't trade this guy. Look what he's doing in AAA right now. He's throwing 100. That'll probably be Legrande. Oh, he's throwing 100 easily. You can't trade that kind of arm talent, and the cycle will continue. So I'm not saying I don't like Cam Schlittler. I really do like him. I was talking about him last year, all spring. But if it gets me a Suarez, I have to pull the trigger. That's just me personally, and I don't disagree with anyone else's take There's no wrong take here because it's all hypotheticals. Because I don't think that rumor is true. But I would personally trade him to get Suarez.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, if the rumor turns out that we could get Suarez for a lesser cost than a Schlittler, then I'm absolutely 100 times out of 100 to make that trade. Um, I'm wondering if there's any further updates or anything like that. Is there any other news on that?
Nothing yet.
Yeah.
It's just the Diamondbacks might not even choose to sell because they're winning and they're right there. They could look to add, if we're being honest. But trading Suarez makes a lot of sense for them because are they going to be able to afford to keep him next year? And that's a guy that's going to get you a big return. Even if they could do a little bit of both. Maybe you trade Suarez and Merrill Kelly and you try to bring in assets as well. They could do a little bit of both because they're not out of it. That's a good offense. It's just when they lost Corbin Burns, it kind of derailed their pitching. They've had so many injuries on the pitching side of things, which is why I think we match up well. We have a lot of pitchers in our system that could entice them.
Jim Bowden suggests the Yankees trade for Mark Vientos or Brett Beatty.
Why would the Mets trade Beatty now? He's hitting. Beatty's hitting. Vientos has been disappointing this year. The Mets fans would have told you this guy was the second coming of Jesus after last year. I don't think that's going to happen. Who would we give up? Who would we give up for that? What do the Mets need? Starting pitching? Marcus Stroman?
It would be like one of our everyday regulars. So I don't think that would make sense. I don't like that at all. So Chris Kirshner listed 9 hitters to watch as the deadline approaches. Suarez, yes. Brian Hayes, no. Double no. Ryan McMahon, I would make it. Juan Moncada.
Is he healthy now, or because last I checked he was hurt?
Oh, we'll check that. IKF, double no, triple no, quadruple no. Ramon Urias.
Yeah.
Willie Castro.
Yes.
Ahmed Rosario.
He's been pretty good. The Nationals are definitely going to sell. And they have some bullpen arms as well, like Finnegan could be a good addition.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a horrible addition. And Luis Urias.
It's really just Suarez, Castro, and maybe McMahon if you kind of were able to buy low on McMahon because his numbers haven't been great this year.
I'm quite intrigued by McMahon as a buy low.
He's got 15 homers, 32 ribbies, 710 OPS. So you get power, decent defense, but that's about it.
Doesn't Castro play only second and short?
I think he can play third. I'm pretty sure he's played third base. I'll double check on that though. I think he's kind of an all-around, another utility, but he's a guy that can actually hit.
Yeah, someone that can actually hit. That would be good. Let's have a look and see what they're saying about Willie Castro.
He has played third. He's played 12 games at third this year. He played 27 last year, so he's played a little bit of third base.
Weighted runs created plus 103. And just 5 home runs, though. Let's have a look. I'm considering McMahon. Why do I think that McMahon would maybe be a good buy low candidate?
Lefty swing, Yankee Stadium. Change of scenery. Yeah. He's playing with the fucking Rockies right now. So.
But only a 90 weighted road swing plus 8 home runs. Yeah, he's not had a good year. 230 batting average. What kind of contract does he have right now?
I think he's got like 2 or 3 years left. He's owed about like $13 million or something like that per year. He's got it's a very team-friendly contract, but he also didn't want to get traded last year. It's like he wants to stay in Colorado. So I don't know if, as bad as the Rockies are, the guy's telling you I don't want to leave. I don't know how you do that to the guy.
Yeah. But why wouldn't he want to leave?
I think it was something that he doesn't. It might have been that he didn't want to like relocate his family middle of the year.
Oh,
He
okay.
really liked where he was, so I can understand that. Maybe he changed his mind this year because the Rockies absolutely stink and they're not going anywhere. They're like the worst team ever, so maybe now he changes his mind, but not sure.
3 minutes ago, Fireside Yankees says Jeff Passan sees the Yankees as fits for these trade candidates. We obviously know about Suarez, Joan Duran, Emmanuel Clase, Cade Smith, Griffin Jacks, David Bednar. I quite like David Bednar. I think he'd be someone the Yankees could turn around. McMahon, we know. Arenado, we've wanted in the offseason. Ryan Helsley and Reed Detmers.
Oh God, if they got Reed Detmers, L.I. Yankee King would jump for joy. I mean, the Guardians, if you want to upgrade the bullpen, the Guardians have the key. Clase and Cade Smith are freaking fantastic. The Twins, Duran and Colombe would be excellent as well, which is why I wouldn't mind going all out with the Twins. For guys like Castro and Duran and Colombe, if they can pull that off, that'd be a dream.
Duran would be good.
I love that. He's under team control, which is why, even though you're getting 2 rentals in that deal, you're getting the closer under team control.
Right.
Because let's not forget, Weaver's also a free agent after the season.
That's a good point. Although we have to extend it. I'm sure.
Yeah, they're gonna get him back. It's Williams they probably won't bring back. I don't think he wants to be back either. So maybe you trade for Duran or Clase, and then you trade Devin Williams. Maybe you go that route.
Well, hey, I'd be all over that. That would be the smart move.
But to trade for Clase, you'd probably have to trade Spencer Jones.
Dude, what is going on with Rafael Devers? He's having an awful time in San Francisco.
Buy low on him.
Absolutely.
Bring him
200
back.
batting average, just 2 homers, 30% strikeout rate, 89 WRC plus, and a minus 0.3 F4.
Has there ever been a case where a player like that's been traded and it's worked out better for the other team? Like, because we kind of laugh at the Red Sox, and they've been fucking laughing back at everybody else. They cleared money and they got better.
Shit. But I still think Devers is an absolute beast. I just don't know why he's tanked this season. Like, his behavior's been so odd. Like, he refuses to work out. It's very strange. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. He's such a good player. You just stop being an asshole. You're gonna just be one of the best players in the game. It's so strange because I love Devers. I just don't understand what he's all about.
I can't explain it.
Yeah, he refused to work out with Will Clark at first base. It's insane. And he stood him up as well. It's not like he texted him going, "I can't turn up." He just stood him up. That's real asshole behavior. Like,
That's crazy.
it is, but probably means that we could probably get Devers for super cheap.
I mean, they got him for basically nothing, so it wouldn't be surprising if they tried to trade him, kind of a buy low situation. I don't think they're going to get him, but maybe if they get a rental this year, maybe next year, San Francisco says, "Fuck it, we got to do something," and then you can attack it.
Jake Boss says hardcore diva. It's a hardcore.
It seems
diva.
like it. And I don't know if Aaron Boone's the kind of guy to whip him into shape.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
He'd probably curse at Aaron Boone in Spanish. Be like, "You know what? You're right, Rafael. Forgot I said anything." I'd pay good money to see. You know what? But I honestly think, I know people probably won't agree with this. Some people won't. I don't think Judge would let that happen.
No, he would probably not.
I think Judge would scare the shit out of him. I truly don't think Judge would let that happen. But it would be pretty funny to see Aaron Boone try to whip Devers into shape. If Cora couldn't do it.
I would love it so much. Because as you say, you'll curse at Boone in Spanish, and Boone will think it's a compliment. Oh, I love you too, Devers.
You turn to the interpreter and be like, yeah.
Hey, Devers, do you want to go for ice cream later? Devers will be like, puta! And it's like, oh, yes, I love you too, Devers.
See like half of the Yankees clubhouse just being like, no, Boone, stop. That would be comedy. I just don't think it's going to happen. Maybe next year, though. But
our locker room's so fucking soft. I would love it. Just for shits and giggles.
Have something to look forward to the rest of the way through.
Exactly.
But on that note, we've had a lot of fun today. We've gone for an extra like half an hour here on this Monday morning. Hopefully we get some news, and we obviously have a big series starting up tonight. The Yankees will have their best pitchers going against Toronto. Season could very well be on the line. Trade deadline plans could be on the line. If the Yankees tank this series, then it could change their whole approach. Donald, I believe you're on the way to the States, though, soon, yeah?
Tomorrow morning, baby.
Tomorrow morning, he's on a plane, and he's headed to
New
the
York,
States.
I'm coming. I'm coming back, baby.
And that is going to wrap it up for us here on this fine Monday afternoon. I'm Rob. I'm joined by Donald. We did have Tats with us. Hopefully everything's okay over there. And we were joined by you fine people. Let's go, Yanks. And as Tats always says, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.